Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Season 7 of Stand Up and Stand Out. Párate y desdécate. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Nikki Green. As a life and business resiliency expert, I thought we would share some stories of resilience this season. It's also the 1-year anniversary of Chameleon Mindset, my best-selling book, and we are giving away a bunch of great prizes and deep discounts on my coaching programs to celebrate. Be sure to check the show notes of each episode to learn more and follow me on social media. I hope you're enjoying Season 7, and I look forward to hearing your feedback and comments on the fascinating topics we're going to cover with each guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stand Up and Stand Out. Párate y desdécate. Today, we have an interesting guest who has some very, very interesting talents. Welcome, Vickie Poole, to the stage. How have you been, Vickie?
I've been great. Thank you so much for having me here.
So I would love to do a shout out to StreamYard, who connected us. StreamYard now has a community where you can connect with other podcasters. And so it's been great to start to expand our network. And Vickie and I kind of reached out. We're like, hey, you have a cool show. I have a cool show. Why don't we hang out together and see what we can do? So welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you today and learn more about being a master of habit change.
I know. Well, I want to say thank you so much for having me here. And I did love so much having you on my podcast and being able to connect with you. And I know you're going to actually be going live in my Facebook group tomorrow. So I've got everybody all fired up and ready. So it's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, and this is perfect for our audience here because most of the folks that listen to our show are in some sort of change in their life. Maybe it's on the career side. They're trying to find their new purpose and passion. Maybe they are trying to change something else in their personal life, maybe a relationship. Maybe they don't like where they live. So we have a lot of people really trying to find themselves still, I think, after so much change over the last couple of years. So maybe share a little bit about yourself, Vickie, and tell people what you do and how you do it in a very special way.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, I don't know where to start, but I will just say that my journey started with wanting to do something different with my health because I had been a yo-yo dieter my entire life. My first diet I remember being on when I was in the 3rd grade, if that tells you anything. I wasn't heavy or anything, but I mirrored my father. He was always on a diet. And so just progressed years later, I was getting bigger, then I would lose weight, and it was kind of a back and forth. And I finally got to a place in my life where I said, oh my gosh, I've either got to make peace with being fat or I got to do something about it. And one of the things that I know about me is if I don't put enough skin in the game, I'm not going to really be staying true to what's going on, right? And I didn't want another diet. I wanted to learn something and change me. So just so happens I came across a school that would teach me how to be a health coach and a life coach. And their whole focus was changing habit. And I thought, that's what I need. So I did a year-long course with them for the health coaching. Then I did the life coaching. And then I did a master transformational, which was a year in itself as well. And what I found was it was amazing. I learned, I changed, and I was doing great. But then I could feel myself sliding back to some of the old behaviors. And so I thought, okay, I don't want to do this same thing again. I mean, I've been here for a little bit and I'm tired of that. So let's see what else I can do. And so I did a little more research and I came across hypnosis. Now, I had already had hypnosis a couple of times. I had hypnosis one time many, many years ago for weight loss. And then I had hypnosis on a cruise ship in front of the whole ship, right? So very different experiences, but it was very profound. And so I decided to research a little bit about hypnosis and how it worked on a different level. I ended up getting 5 different certifications in hypnosis. And actually, I've got another one coming up because they're all just a little bit different. And what I find, it's like having a box of crayons and you've got a whole bunch of colors and you can pick out just the right one for this and just the right one for that. And so with my hypnosis, I have so many tools in my tool belt that each individual person, I can pull out something special that I know is going to make a difference for them. And yesterday I was even one of my recent hypnosis clients, I was creating an audio program for him to be able to listen to at home in between that session and the next session. And I will say, technology has not been my friend, but I'm getting better at it. Man, now I can put the audio in there. I can put a little video and I can put some music, and it's just so much better. And I'm having so much fun with doing those things.
I love that story, right? I mean, and that's what happens to so many of us. A lot of these behaviors have been ingrained in us from a very young age. And so when we go to change, it takes really deep transformational work in order to get past some of this stuff. And even if we get through it, maybe for a bit, we'll hit a bump in the road and then all of a sudden start to fall back. So I love this approach, and just amazing, the depth of experience that you've gone through to keep leveling up. Because like you said, people are so different and what they're going through is so different. So being able to have all these different modes where you can tap into them to make sure that you're helping that individual person. That's fantastic. I just love it. I can't wait to learn more. Well, and we talk a lot about technology too, because it's one of those tough parts about the business is we've got to learn all these other skills. And it's just another thing, right? Again, adding to our tool belt to figure out how are we going to do these silly podcasts and go live and, learn all these new skills and run this business.
Well, I really, even though sometimes it is a grain of my existence, but the way I look at it is that, well, let me back up. I had a client years ago that her and her husband were very well off, and he passed away. She had never worked. She had never written a check. She had never taken care of her finances. She had never done any of those things. So suddenly she was lost and she didn't know what to do. And she kept having to try to find someone who could help her, right? So I feel like in some respects, it's that way with our business. If we have in the beginning, we need to be learning how to do all this stuff. For one thing, that way we can make the person that's going to, or not make, but help the person who's going to be working with us to know what we want done. Because if we've never done it, we don't got a clue, and so I keep reminding myself that I'm just learning so that I can help the next person that's going to be helping me know what I require from them.
That's beautiful. Well, and we've also talked about the importance of having that community so that there are people around us that are resources, because we can't possibly know everything and have all that experience. So the stronger we can make our network and our community, then we can find those resources more easily. And I know you have a great community that you work with. So maybe tell folks a little bit about that.
Yes. My Make Lasting Change Facebook group is an amazing set of people who have such an amazing heart. They seem to come out of the woodwork when somebody's in need. I actually got on there today and asked for a prayer request for a niece of mine that's in the hospital. And there were people and it was just a pop-up, and I had people coming on the live and sending prayers and sending me hearts and actually asking for prayers for someone else that was in their family that they didn't even, know that they could come and do that. And so we can come together like that. I like to say that I feel like my group, we're all sitting in my backyard around this big campfire singing Kumbaya and just having a good old time, right? Just getting to know each other. And it just feels like that. It feels like the energy of the group is just so strong and supportive that, one of the things I was telling them today that one of the things I talked about this morning on my live was that a lot of people in the group say they want to make a change. They don't even know what the change is. They just know they're not where they want to be, and they don't even know what change they need to make. And so we talked a little bit about these different things that you can do to kind of get clarity on that. And then I told them, I said, if for instance, if you're into photography and you don't even know what to do, then put in the group, I love photography. Anybody else love photography? And just start connecting with people that are in your same kind of field or want to be in your field, and just start, flourishing these friendships, because that you can create long-lasting friendships from just that connection there. And that's what I love about this community is they all come together, and they come together for me too. as I'm there for them all the time. Yeah.
And we talk about it that there's so much fear that creeps in when we're trying to make change. One, it's the way we've been taught. We've been taught, well, here's the book, here's the class, here's when the test is, here's the chapters you need to study, step by step by step. And then, well, you can forget that the day after the test, and then you learn the next couple of things, and once the class is over, you don't need it anymore. Instead of really having this lifelong habitual ability to just keep learning, and it's open book, like ask a question, tell people what you're trying to do. And it's really what I try to push in our chameleon community is if you don't share what your goal is, what you're trying to achieve, even if you kind of only have a vague vision of it, I don't know how to help you. I'm not psychic. We may have a lot of skills, but psychic is not one. And so we have to let that fear come down a little bit. We have to be a little bit more vulnerable and start to share those goals. And like you said, very simply ask for help in a way that's just like, hey, you never know. Somebody could absolutely love it. They could have been professional. They could have been doing it their whole lives, or maybe they just do it to go watch birds. Who knows? But there's so many people that are passionate about different things. And if you never share that little bit of yourself that you're trying to expand, you never know who you're going to come across to help you there. So that's beautiful. I love that about your community.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I love them. And, and I tell them all the time. And I was sharing with you earlier that this month I'm going live in the group every day with an affirmation and a journal prompt. And it's all about the month of April being our month of magic. So we're focused on where's the magic in our lives. And sometimes there's magic in some kind of mundane thing that we've been doing, but there's a piece of magic if we look for it. So I always refer to, I own a Prius. And before I bought this Prius, I never saw them anywhere. I was just curious about it when I saw an ad about one. And I thought, wow, I think I want to check that out. So I bought it. And then they were everywhere. I even went to the grocery store one day, and this whole row where I was parked was all Prius. And I thought, now, wait a minute. I know they didn't just drop out of the sky. So they were there all along. I just didn't see them. I didn't pay attention to them. So that's what we talk about in the mornings, is that as we're focusing on magic and talking about what's been magic in our day, or what, even if you get out of your car, I tell them all the time, if you get out of your car and there's a penny on the ground, pick that damn penny up and say, yes, thank you. That's the beginning of my $1 million. It has to start with one penny. Take that penny and just appreciate it as magic. If all the lights when you're going somewhere turn green right at the right time, that's magic. So I think sometimes when people are looking for magic, they're looking for this big smoke cloud that everything changes in an instant, but it's not. It's the beauty is seeing the everyday thing that becomes magic. So like this morning, one of the ladies shared that she hasn't had an opportunity to come to some of my lives because some of them are early in the morning. But then she said, today I was able to get here. That's magic. And so it's recognizing, so many things magic in our lives, and being able at the end of the day, I even have a journal that is the magic I witnessed today. And at night I write in there. And sometimes it's something simple. Like I had the topping of the cream coffee, the whip that they put up there, that it had a design or something, that it was the perfect design. That to me is magic, because I sure as hell can't do it. And, so it can be silly things, but it's still magic, and the energy of magic, the exchange of the energy between people when they talk about magic is really, really amazing.
It's so wonderful, because it's really about appreciating things more and not being so critical. I think, again, for so long, a lot of us got a lot of criticism. You didn't do well enough on the test. You didn't clean your room well enough. Your shoes are dirty, whatever all the little things were. And it was just like, by the end of the day, you just feel kind of like garbage. And it's like, no, I don't want that to be my day. I want my day to be like, you know what? I got to sit outside and read my book for 30 minutes in the sunshine today in the middle of April in Chicago. Sometimes that does not happen. Sometimes it's still snowing. And I can look out, and every day I go out and walk around my neighborhood, I can see the trees, blooming, and it'll go from the flower to now the leaves are starting to come, and how each tree is different when it's blooming, and just reminding me again that we're not all going to bloom at the same time, right? That we all have our own season, our own time when that magic is going to come out. And we have to be patient enough to let it shine and not be comparing ourselves to the next tree or whatever else is bloom.
One of the hardest things for a lot of people, and I will admit that sometimes that's hard for me, because I see someone who maybe I went to school with, my health coaching school, and I see where they've gone with their journey. And I could have done that. But then I realized I wouldn't have wanted that. That was not my journey. That wasn't my main interest. They've done great, and that's amazing. But I will say our natural tendency is to say, oh, I didn't do something right. And it's getting to a place where you find magic in that, and that you can recognize that that's a habit too. And because I don't know if you ever had the experience, and my mother would just kill me if she even knew I was saying this, but I used to get this thing. I have a sister that's 2 years older than me, and I always thought she was gorgeous and all these different things. And my mom would say something about comparing the two of us. And so it always made me feel like I was less than, And then my younger sister, gorgeous, blonde, just like my older sister. And I may look like I got white hair now, but it's normally black and almost black. And so we would go to the store, and I would find this beautiful dress, and I would show it to my mom. And I think, isn't this gorgeous? And she'd say, it is. Your sister Valerie would look so good in that. And to me, that meant, not you, baby, not you. And I'm sure that's not what she meant. But as a teenager, that was exactly what I took it as. And so I spent a lot of time feeling like I was comparing myself to my older sister, my younger sister, and everybody else was doing so much better than me.
And it gets ingrained in such subtle ways like that. And it's really hard, with our kids, we are trying to redo that programming ourselves, is, not comparing the kids to each other, and not reframing them, around other people in the family and stuff too. But, you're just like, your grandmother, you're just like your own, things like that, and just let them be their own person, and that, we just also say, there's no bad people. There's just people that do bad things or make bad decisions, right? That giving us the power back to really make that next best decision for us and for what we need, and to keep giving us the confidence that it's okay. Sometimes you're just not going to get it right. That's part of life, and, I couldn't make myself any taller, but I sure tried real hard to play volleyball for like 7-8 years. And I did, and I coached, and I did what was right for me. I still loved it enough that, I didn't have to be the middle blocker. There's plenty of other positions. And I also I loved coaching. Coaching ended up being a really great thing for me. So find your own path, and try to let that judgment go. It's tough because it is way long ingrained in you, and you got to keep questioning, kind of where it came from. But we just got to keep peeling that onion, right? And getting to what we really want.
That's, it's interesting because one of the things that I tell my group is that we all have on glasses that have a lens depending on what we've been listened to, what we've been taught, what we've been told, and that it's time to clean the glasses. It's almost like there's Vaseline or something on them. It's really, really messing up how we see ourselves, and it's getting clearer on that. And I do hypnosis with a lot of people to help them get a little bit clearer on who they are, and taking some of that old angst away, some of those old limiting beliefs, but you can't leave a void. So that's one of the things that people don't quite get sometimes, because I had someone come to me one day and she said, you got to just make me skinny. And I said, what? She said, you just got to make me skinny. And I said, that's not how this thing works. And so I had to talk to her about some of her habits and different things that she was doing. And so, I was telling her, well, I can put some suggestions in, about that sugar won't be as interesting to you, and that you'll be more drawn to the healthier foods. And she said, well, I don't want that. She said, I just want to be thin, but she still wanted to have all the stuff. And I said, well, you can keep trying that if you want to. I said, because what hypnosis does is it helps you to remove that desire and put something else. Like I had a client, the one I was doing the recording for, the other night, he had this a propensity to always want sugar. And he said if he sat down to eat with his family, he always wanted a dessert. And so he was wanting to get away from that. So one of the things that I asked him, I said, so what would you rather do instead of that dessert? And he said, well, that's an interesting question, right? So we came up with an answer. He said that he would like to have some nice fruit and he loves all these exotic teas. So he could have a cup of tea. So in his hypnosis, I talked to him about when he had this feeling, this desire for sugar, that his subconscious mind was going to start saying fruit, 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 in his ear, kind of like, ever seen those old commercials where the devil's on this side and the angels on this side and they're talking to you. So he said his subconscious mind's going to start suggesting fruit and he's going to take it because that's what he decided. And so the thing I'm getting to is that we couldn't say, or we could say, but it wouldn't work. We could say, you no longer want dessert. All right. Well, you got to do something. You can't just leave it there because that's not going to last. That's when you're using willpower. And so when I told him, you're going to be wanting fruit or some of this tea and you'll feel so satisfied because food is not your main focus. It's the communication and the spending time with your family and enjoying the meal for what it is and not all focused on this end sweet thing that you think you need. And so far it's working really well for him. I sent him the recording. So we'll be doing some more sessions. But he's doing great. And so, like I said, you can't just take something away and leave a hole. And for another thing, I don't know how much time we got, but another thing is if somebody had like a something horrible that happened to them in their past, that we don't take that past away. We don't remove the memory or anything like that. What we do is we leave the lesson, the memory, the lesson, but we take the emotional charge out of it. Like I did have this one person that wanted me to remove her boyfriend from her thoughts because they broke up. And, I said, I can help you direct your thoughts to something else. I can help you to feel less angst about it and start loving yourself more. But I can't brainwash you to not ever think of him anymore. And so some people have a really strange concept of what hypnosis is. And I think it all comes from the movies, right?
Well, that it's some magic's formula, again, that like we said, it's like some big poof and everything, it changes. And I talk a lot about that with my clients as well, is that it's important that the new habit isn't really the hard thing. I think most of us enjoy the new habit. It's giving up the old habit that is always the challenge. And there is a yin and yang. You have to give up the old in order to replace it with the new. There just isn't enough space to be doing both, or they're going to be at each other's odds, right? And then you make no progress and get frustrated. So I love the approach that you take. It's very fascinating. I'm definitely going to have to take a session and we'll see what bad habits I have that we need to try to. But I'm excited to be speaking to your community tomorrow. That'll be fun too. And who knows where the future may take us. We'll have to see what other fun stuff to get into.
I felt like I knew you already. So maybe we knew each other in a past life. I don't know.
There you go. Or a future one. We'll find out.
Hey, that's it.
Awesome. Well, Vickie, time flies when we're having fun, but let the folks know where they can find you and connect with you if they're interested in learning more and maybe getting a little hypnosis.
All right. Wonderful. Well, first off, I want to invite them to my Make Lasting Change group if they're open to just exploring that. But to do that, all you have to do is go to VickiePoole.com. And that's VickiePoole.com. And then you'll be prompted to answer some questions and then you can be let in the group. And then theenlightenedpeach.com is my email address. So you can reach out there. And then there's the Instagram, the_enlightened_peach. And then I didn't think to give you my Calendly link. My Calendly link is calendly.com/ I believe it's just the Enlightened Peach. Should I look real quick? I think it is. But you can always email me. If you get to Instagram, you can message me on Instagram, or if you join the Facebook group, so I can be found. And then we can talk about hypnosis and maybe something that you need and how we can make that happen for you.
Beautiful. And we'll drop all that and more in the show notes so you guys can find Vickie wherever on the internet she may be. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that we met. Thank you, StreamYard, for doing this. We'll have to give them some more props. And excited to continue sharing our communities together and see where it all takes us. But it's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot, and I know I'm going to continue learning even more next time we're together.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for all your listeners, your watchers, because without them, we wouldn't even have anybody to be talking to.
There you go. Well, if you guys haven't done so yet, please make sure whatever platform you're on, like, subscribe, hit the button, make a comment, whatever makes you happy. Makes us get a little bit more following. If you guys have loved this episode, please catch us on where all the cool kids hang out that do podcasts. All right, guys, it's been good seeing you. We'll catch you on the next episode of Stand Up and Stand Out.